The day started like any normal day across the Galactic Union. Ships moved from one star system to another. Merchants traded goods. Scientists worked in their labs. Students sat in classrooms learning about ancient alien civilizations. But then, something strange happened. It started with small things. On the capital planet, Valora Prime, historian Dr. Calm Varick opened his data tablet to prepare his lecture. He wanted to talk about a war that happened centuries ago. A war where a species called humans fought bravely against impossible odds. But when he searched the database, there was nothing, no records, no documents, no images, no videos. It was like humans never existed. At first, Dr. Varick thought it was a simple error he called the university server room. Maybe the human history files are offline. He asked. The technician checked. No sir. The entire human history archive is missing. Every server, every backup, every external storage unit. Varick felt cold sweat on his neck. This was not a small problem. He opened the Galactic Central Database. Still nothing. He checked private research networks. Still nothing. He logged into Deep Space Archives, restricted military servers, and even old, dusty digital libraries no one used for decades. Nothing. Varik was not the only one noticing this. Across the galaxy, thousands of historians, scientists, and military officers were reporting the same thing. Humanity. Erased. In the Galactic Senate chamber. Emergency lights turned on. Senator Relkador stood up, shouting, "This is sabotage. Who would delete an entire species from every record in the galaxy?" The defense minister, General Zarin Kael, looked pale. "This is more than sabotage. This is a dangerous event, possibly a hostile act." The senators whispered among themselves. Some said it was a data virus. Some said it was a political attack. Some said it was something worse. Back in his office, Dr. Varick tried something risky. He connected to a forbidden archive, a place where deleted data sometimes survived. It was dangerous. Government agents monitored this archive, but Varick had to know the truth. After hours of searching, he found one small file. Just one. It was only 5 seconds long. A distorted voice, human-sounding. It said, "You tried to erase us, but we remember you then." Coordinates appeared on his screen. Coordinates pointing to the far edge of the galaxy. Sector Delta Mpaplutuju, a place where no one had gone for over 100 years. Varick's heart raced. This is not just data corruption, he whispered. This is a warning. Meanwhile, in space, near Sector Delta 47, a galactic patrol ship named Velenstrike was on routine patrol. Captain Jorah Kelm sat on the bridge, sipping coffee. Her sensors officer, Lieutenant Wren, suddenly shouted, "Ma'am!" Multiple unknown signals appearing on long-range scanners. Jorah frowned. How many? At least 20 large ships, and hundreds of smaller ones. Any identification? No known codes, no flags, no transponders. Could be pirates, Jorah asked. Wren shook his head. No. These are too organized. And too big. Suddenly, the ships changed formation. They moved like hunters, like predators, straight toward Union space. The first clear image appeared on the Velenstrike screen. A massive warship, dark gray armor, sharp angles, red glowing lines across its HULL on the side. Big faded letters in English. TNS, Vengeance. Jorah blinked. TNS, what the hell is that? The ship transmitted a short, simple message. One line, spoken in clear, angry human voice. "We are coming." Then the transmission ended. At Galactic Defense Headquarters, alarms rang across all sectors. General Zarin Kael stared at the incoming fleet data. This can't be possible," he muttered. "They're human warships." A young officer turned in shock. "Sir, but humans, they're extinct." Zarin's hands shook as he watched the fleet enter Union space. No, they were just forgotten. On civilian planets, panic spread fast. People asked questions. Who are these invaders? Why are they attacking? Where did they come from? But the old ones, those who were alive 150 years ago, they remembered humans. They remembered the Terran Wars. They remembered how dangerous humans could become when pushed. They remembered the phrase used long ago, "Never corner a human." In secret government rooms, old classified files opened again. Files labeled, "Extremely dangerous. Terran combat psychology, lethally dangerous. Human warfare tactics, incredibly dangerous." Terran AI-controlled weapons leaders realized they had erased human history from the galaxy, but they forgot one thing. The humans did not erase their own memories. Back on the Velenstrike, Captain Jorah ordered full retreat. "Get us out of here now," but it was too late. The nearest human ship, the TNS Vengeance, moved faster than anything they had seen. Weapons powered up, missile hatches opened. Energy turrets rotated. Lieutenant Wren whispered, "They're playing a dangerous game." Jorah just said one thing, "We're walking into something very dangerous." Then the first human plasma bolts fired. The screen turned white. On Valora Prime, Dr. Varric sat frozen at his desk. He played the 5-second audio again. "You tried to erase us, but we remember you." He stared at the coordinates again. Delta-47. Then he picked up his communicator. To every scientist he knew, every historian. Every reporter. His message was short. "Tell everyone, the humans are back. In deep space." The full human fleet now moved at attack speed. Thousands of fighters, launched warships powered their AILGUNS. And in the command center of the Terran Reclamation Fleet, Admiral Alina Graves stood with her arms crossed. Her voice calmed, her eyes cold. "Set course for Valora Prime," she ordered. "It's time to rewrite history." The human fleet accelerated, and across the galaxy, fear returned. Panic spread like wildfire across the Galactic Union. Military officers, scientists, politicians, and civilians, all staring at one thing: the fleet. A massive group of unknown warships entering Union space at high speed. The sector was called Delta 47, a quiet and empty region for more than a century. No trade routes, no colonies, no military bases. Now, dozens of heavily armed warships were moving through it, straight towards Central Union worlds. On board the Galactic Patrol ship Star Watcher, Captain Mira Loran stood on the bridge, staring at her sensor screens. "Status report," she shouted. Her first officer, Tolan Voss, replied with shaky hands. "Ma'am, we have 28 large ships, battleship class, plus hundreds of smaller vessels. No communication, no identification, codes, no response to hails." Myra narrowed her eyes. "Speed, cruising at 0.8 light. Fast for something that size." Mira's stomach tightened. "That's incredibly dangerous." Tolan nodded. "And ma'am, their weapons are hot. Full power." The bridge fell silent in the Galactic Defense Council chamber. Emergency meeting lights flashed red. High commanders, admirals, and intelligence chiefs argued. General Zaroon Kale slammed his fist on the table. "I want full fleet mobilization. Get every ship in range to intercept." Admiral Saros Quinn shook his head. "We don't know who they are yet. Let's try communication again." A young intelligence officer entered the room, holding a tablet. "Sir, we decrypted the energy signature on their main engines." Zaron turned. "Well, which species is it?" The officer hesitated. "Sir, the design, the energy curve, the ship layout." Zaron's face darkened. "Spit it out." The officer took a deep breath. "Sir, those are Terran warships." The room froze. Everyone stared. Whispers filled the air. "Humans. Impossible. They're extinct." They were erased. On a small agricultural planet named Vela Minor, Farmer Garrow Lint stood outside his home with binoculars. High above, in the daytime sky, tiny dots moved fast. He counted at least 10 ships. Huge ones. Garrow's wife stepped out. "More military drills?" she asked. Garrow lowered the binoculars, shaking his head. "No drills today. Those ships are moving like predators." He felt a chill. Something dangerous is coming. Back on the Star Watcher, Captain Myra had no choice. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. Her ship was small, just a light patrol cruiser. No match for a full fleet, but orders were orders. The Star Watcher moved forward, joining 5 other nearby patrol ships, trying to intercept the unknown fleet. Mira's heart pounded. "Lieutenant, open a channel. One last time." The communication officer tried. "Unknown fleet. This is Galactic Union patrol ship Star Watcher. Identify yourselves immediately. You are entering restricted space. Respond, or we will take defensive action." No reply. Seconds passed. Then, a single transmission came through. A cold, deep human voice. The screen crackled. The words were simple: "Leave or die." Then, silence. Mira felt sweat on her face. Tolan turned to her. "Ma'am, that's a Terran voice, no doubt." "Impossible." Myra whispered. "The Terrans, they're extinct. They were erased from history." Tolan didn't answer because facts didn't lie. Those ships, those weapons, that voice, it was human. And very, very dangerous in Union High Command. General Zaroon issued the command. "Deploy Battle Group 7, full readiness. Stop that fleet before it enters core space." Dozens of Union warships launched from nearby starbases. Frigates, destroyers, BATTLECRUISERS. The largest deployment in 20 years, but deep inside, Every officer knew they were walking into something dangerous. Maybe something they couldn't stop. Meanwhile, inside the lead human ship, TNS Vengeance, Admiral Elena Graves stood at the observation deck. Her fleet was in perfect formation. Behind her, hundreds of Terran AI-controlled drones floated in silent readiness. The ship's AI rook spoke. Enemy ships approaching. Estimated time to contact, 15 minutes. Elena nodded. Let them come. The AI hesitated. Recommend first strike. Or wait. Elena smiled. No first strike. Not yet. Let them make the first mistake. She turned toward her officers. Prepare the Nova cannons. Target priority. Enemy command ships. Her chief, Tactical Officer Commander Harlan, grinned. Time to remind them why they feared us. The Union Battle Group 7 moved closer. Admiral Saras Quinn commanded from the Union flagship Valor Rising. Open a wide beam channel, he ordered. All Union ships to all unknown vessels. This is your final warning. Stop your advance or be fired upon. Still, no response. The human fleet kept moving. Straight towards them. One Union officer whispered. They're playing a dangerous game. Admiral Quinn clenched his teeth. So be it. All ships, fire. Thousands of missiles launched. Laser beams streaked across space. Railguns fired high-speed slugs. The void lit up with death and energy. But then, the Terran fleet answered. With terrifying precision. The human ships returned fire. The TNS Vengeance unleashed a full broadside. Kinetic slugs the size of buildings tore through. Union shields, plasma lances, melted armor like paper. AI drone fighters swarmed through Union lines, hitting weak points, jamming sensors, hacking targeting systems. One by one, Union ships exploded. Frigates vanished in fireballs. Destroyers broke apart. The Valor Rising shook violently as multiple Terran missiles hit its hull on the Starwatcher. Captain Myra watched in horror. Her sensors showed Union ships falling fast. We're outgunned, outmatched, she whispered. Tolan shouted, Ma'am, orders. Myra hesitated. They could stay, and die, or retreat, and warn others. Her voice cracked. All engines, full retreat. Send emergency signal to High Command. Tell them, humans are back, and they're angry. The Starwatcher jumped to lightspeed, leaving burning wreckage behind. In the Terran fleet, Admiral Elena Graves watched the Union ships scatter. Casualty report, she asked. Her AI answered. No damage taken, 0 casualties. Full fleet combat readiness maintained. Elena gave a small nod. Good. She turned to her officers. Next target, Valora Prime, set course. The fleet accelerated again. No one could stop them. Not now. Not after what the galaxy had done back in the Union capital. The emergency alarm reached its highest level, code black. For the first time in over a century, the Galactic Union declared humanity hostile force, full war status. But it was already too late. The Terran warships were already coming. And this time, they weren't here to negotiate, they were here for revenge. The burning wreckage of Union ships floated silently in the cold darkness of space. Twisted metal. Broken engines. Frozen bodies. And in the middle of it, the Terran fleet moved forward like silent predators. Inside the Union High Command war room, emergency sirens screamed. General Zaroon, KL, stood frozen, staring at the casualty reports. Battle Group 7. Destroyed. His voice was hollow. Out of 40 Union warships, only 3 had survived, and even they were badly damaged. Admiral Saros Quinn, leader of the Lost Fleet, barely escaped alive. His battered flagship Valor Rising limped back to Union space. Medical teams worked desperately to treat wounded crew. The Admiral sat in a dark corner of the medbay, holding his head. He replayed the last moments over and over in his mind. The human warships had moved like hunting wolves. Fast, precise. Lethally. Dangerous, he whispered to himself. They're back. And we're not ready for this. Across the galaxy, fear spread fast. Civilian news channels showed terrifying footage. Blurry images of huge Terran battleships firing unstoppable weapons. Reports from survivors. Stories of impossible speed and firepower. A phrase started trending on every network. Terrans have returned. On mining colonies, transport hubs, and even peaceful farming worlds. People began to panic. Old veterans from the Terran Wars, now gray-haired and retired, dusted off their old weapons. They remembered the stories. They remembered how dangerous humans could become when angry. On Valora Prime, the Galactic Senate held another emergency session. Senator Relkador shouted across the room. We have to open peace talks. This is a dangerous enemy we cannot defeat by force. Others disagreed. We should deploy everything we have. Every fleet, every fighter, every weapon. The room erupted into chaos. General Zaroon entered, face grim. They won't negotiate, he said. Everyone turned silent. ZA Run placed a recording on the main screen. It was the last broadcast from the Terran flagship, TNS Vengeance. The human admiral's voice echoed in the chamber. We gave you a chance to remember us. Now we will make you remember. The screen showed multiple Union ships exploding, one after another. Senator Dorr turned pale. This is a declaration of war, Zaroon nodded. And they're advancing fast. Next target, Velora Prime. The Senate chamber filled with fear. Some senators ran out. Others called their families. Some even tried to book escape shuttles. But deep inside, they all knew there was no safe place now, in deep space. Inside the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Alina Graves stood at her command console. Her fleet moved with cold precision. Her officers worked silently. Her AI Rook gave status reports. All primary weapons charged. Jump coordinates locked. Distance to Velora Prime, 8 light hours. Commander Harlan, her tactical chief, smiled darkly. Do we announce our arrival? Admiral Alina shook her head. No. Let them guess. Let them fear. She walked to the observation window. Staring at the stars, she whispered. They erased our history. Now we erase their future. At the edge of Velora Prime's defense perimeter, Union Command scrambled every available ship. Frigates, destroyers, fighter squadrons, orbital defense platforms, missile satellites. Thousands of weapons pointed at empty space, waiting for the Terran fleet. Captain Nera Solis, commander of the Orbital Defense Network, stood ready. Her officers reported all systems online, but deep inside, Nera felt fear. She pulled out an old, hidden data chip from her locker. It a collection of old human war footage. She had studied them as a young officer. Long before human history was erased, she watched a short clip. Human Marines, storming a fortress, brutal, fast, relentless. She whispered to herself, we're walking into something dangerous. Suddenly, sensors lit up. Multiple FTL signatures detected. An officer shouted, "Got!" Captain Nera stood up. How many? The officer's hand shook. Too many. At least 30 large ships, and hundreds of smaller ones. Incoming now. On the main screen, space twisted, and the Terran fleet dropped out of faster than light speed, like predators appearing out of the dark, one after another. The human warships appeared, their hulls dark, their weapons glowing, their engines burning blue and red. The TNS Vengeance led the charge. On Union command channels, orders screamed, fire all weapons, launch all fighters, engage, engage. Thousands of missiles launched from Velora Prime's orbital defenses. Fighter squadrons raced forward. Laser batteries fired in every direction, but the human fleet responded instantly. Countermeasures launched, point defense turrets activated. Drone swarms intercepted missiles mid-flight. Human railguns fired, tearing Union ships apart. Tearing plasma lancers cut through defense platforms like paper. Union fighters exploded by the dozens. Within minutes, Velora Prime's first defense ring was gone. On the ground below, civilians looked up. They saw the sky turn red and orange. Fireballs filled the atmosphere. Burning debris fell from orbit. Children screamed. Parents ran for shelters. Old men and women, veterans of forgotten wars, stood in silence. One old soldier whispered, "The Terrans, they've returned." Just like the old stories warned. Inside the Union Central Defense Tower, General Zaroon Kale grabbed the radio. He opened a channel, directly to the TNS Vengeance unknown fleet leader. "This is General Zaroon Kale. Name your terms. Let's talk." Silence. Then, the Terran Admiral's voice answered. "You had your chance. Now, watch." The channel closed. Zaroon stared at the ceiling. For the first time in his long career, he felt helpless. The human fleet unleashed its full firepower. Mass drivers, plasma, torpedoes, EMP bursts, anti-ship missiles. Velora Prime's second defense ring collapsed. Massive explosions rocked the planet's orbit. Union command ships tried to retreat, but Terran fighters hunted them down. No mercy, no escape. The Union's greatest fleet, crushed. On the surface, Dr. Keln Verick, the historian who first noticed the missing human history files, stood on his balcony. He watched the burning skies. Sirens blared across the city. His data tablet showed live casualty reports. He saw the word flashing in red letters. Terran attack code black. Verick closed his eyes. "I told them, I warned them, but no one listened." He turned to his computer. opened a blank file. At the top, he typed, "The Return of Humanity." Because now, everyone remembered, everyone feared, and everyone knew. The humans were back, and they were dangerous. On board the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Elena Graves looked at the devastation. Her officers waited for orders. She spoke calmly. Next phase. Prepare ground assault units. Load drop pods. Deploy orbital bombardment on defense installations. A tactical officer asked, "Do we leave survivors, Admiral?" Elena's face stayed emotionless. She answered, "Only enough to tell the next system that we're coming." The human fleet turned its guns downward, toward Valora Prime, and the galaxy trembled. The fires over Valora Prime burned all night. Smoke covered the skies. Emergency sirens never stopped. Hospitals overflowed with the wounded. Families searched for missing loved ones, and in the heart of the Union government, fear ruled every decision. Galactic Senate sat in near darkness. Power grids were damaged from orbital strikes. Senators argued, yelled, blamed each other. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to fight to the death. Some wanted to run. General Zaroon Kale stood at the center of the chaos. He had one message from Terran Command, a short, simple transmission. It read, "Return what you stole, or face complete annihilation." No more details. No list of demands. No explanation. Just that one line. And the image of the Terran fleet still hovering above Valora Prime, fully armed, fully operational. Waiting in a hidden bunker below the Senate chambers. A small group met. General Zarin, Senator Relkador, Admiral Saras Quinn, and a secret intelligence officer named Mara Vex. Mara slammed a file on the table. "We've reviewed everything. The humans are angry. They know what we did." Senator Dor trembled. "You mean the erasure program?" Mara nodded. Double quotes, "Yes. They know we deleted their history. They know we removed their name from the galactic databases. They know we tried to erase their existence." General Zarin's voice dropped. "And now, they want it back." Admiral Quinn spoke up. "We should talk to them. Send diplomats. Negotiate." Mara laughed coldly. "Negotiate? Are you insane? Did you see what they did to our fleet, to our defense grid?" Zaroon held up a hand. "Enough. We'll try one thing. One last chance." He turned to the room. "We'll send a diplomatic team to their flagship, a formal meeting." But he paused. "We prepare for a trap. Because that's what this is. A dangerous game. A dangerous test." Everyone nodded. They knew the truth. The humans weren't coming for peace. They were coming for payback. A fast Union shuttle launched from Valora Prime. On board were two diplomats, Envoy Sarah Luthen and Ambassador Drektor, both nervous, both scared, both aware. They were walking into something dangerous. As their shuttle approached the TNS Vengeance, the human flagship, they saw the Terran fleet up close, massive, armored, deadly. Some ships still had burn marks from old battles that had happened over 100 years ago. The Union diplomats glanced at each other. CRO whispered, "We're entering dangerous territory now." The Terrans allowed the shuttle to dock, but no one greeted them. No honor guard, no welcome, just silence, and two heavily armed Terran soldiers waiting at the airlock wearing black armor, helmets hiding their faces. They escorted the diplomats through cold steel corridors, every wall lined with weapons. Troops. Robotic sentries. Even the air felt heavy, like walking through a battlefield frozen in time. Finally, the diplomats entered the command chamber. At the center stood Admiral Elena Graves. Her uniform was dark gray, her eyes cold steel. No emotion, only calculation. Around her, officers watched, silent, waiting. The two Union diplomats bowed. Ambassador Drek spoke first. "Admiral Graves, we come in peace. We wish to discuss terms." Elena raised a hand. "Enough." Her voice cut through the air like a blade. "You erased us." No one breathed. Syrah tried to speak. We admit, mistakes were made. But Elena stepped closer. "Destroyed our monuments, burned our records, told the galaxy we never existed." Her officers nodded. Some clenched their fists. Memories of pain, loss, betrayal, burning inside them. Elena continued. "And now you want to talk, Ambassador." Drek tried to stay calm. "We are willing to offer reparations. Trade agreements. Peace treaties." Elena smiled. But it wasn't a kind smile. It was cold, dangerous. Reparations. Peace. She turned to her tactical officer. "Show them." The main screen lit up. It displayed a map of the galaxy. Red markers appeared across dozens of Union worlds. Targets. Populations. Infrastructure points. Drek gasped. "You have targeting data on all our major planets." Elena nodded. "We've been watching, waiting, preparing. She leaned closer. You're not negotiating from strength. You're begging from weakness. Suddenly, the diplomat's communication devices buzzed. A secret signal from Union High Command. Code. Red dot. It was a trigger. The diplomats froze. This was part of the Union's hidden plan. While the diplomats distracted the humans, Union stealth ships had been moving, hidden among debris fields. Cloaked, carrying experimental weapons. Now, the Union fleet prepared to strike. A surprise attack. One desperate chance. On the Vengeance Bridge. Alarms blared. Multiple incoming signatures. A Terran officer shouted. Union ships uncloaking. Weapons hot. Missiles launched. Plasma beams fired. Union stealth frigates emerged from their hiding spots, racing toward the Terran flagship. It was a trap, a dangerous move, a final gamble, but Admiral Elena Graves was ready. Her fleet reacted instantly. Countermeasures deployed. Point defense systems activated. AI-guided railguns targeted the incoming ships. One by one, the Union stealth frigates exploded in bright, burning flashes. They vanished. The fleet suffered no damage, not even a scratch. Inside the command chamber, Elena turned back to the two Union diplomats. Her smile disappeared. Her voice, now pure steel. So, this was your idea of negotiation? Drek and Sierra fell to their knees. We didn't know. This wasn't our order. But Elena didn't care. She nodded to her guards. Take them away. The diplomats screamed as they were dragged from the chamber. Elena turned to her officers. Prepare next phase. Mobilize ground forces ready. Drop pods activate orbital bombardment patterns. Commander Harlan grinned. Full invasion. Elena nodded. Full invasion. Back on Valora Prime, General Zaroon received the final report. The surprise attack had failed. The Terran fleet was now mobilizing. And their next move was clear. They were coming to take the planet. City by city, by block, with full force. Zaroon stood at the window of the command tower. He watched the sky. Dark shapes filled the atmosphere. Drop pods. Falling fast. Coming closer, he whispered. We played a dangerous game, and now we're out of time. Across the planet, alarms sounded. Ground invasion incoming. All citizens to shelters. Military units. Defend, at all costs. But deep inside, everyone knew there was no defense against this. The Terrans had returned, and they were unstoppable. The night sky over Valora Prime turned black. But it wasn't the natural darkness of night. It was the shadow of incoming Terran. Drop pods. Thousands of them, falling like burning meteors from orbit, screaming through the atmosphere, leaving trails of fire behind. People on the streets pointed at the sky. Some ran, some froze, some just fell to their knees, praying, but it was too late. The first wave had already begun. General Zaroon Kale stood inside the Union command tower. His officers reported fast, sir. Terran drop pods landing in all major city sectors. Enemy ground units deploying in force. Union defensive lines collapsing in multiple zones. Zaroon grabbed the nearest radio. All ground units, hold your positions. This is a dangerous situation, but we will not surrender. But deep inside, Zaroon knew they were already losing. In the southern sector of Valora City, Union soldiers waited behind barricades. Trembling, sweating, guns shaking in their hands. Young Lieutenant Miro Vess looked at his squad. Stay sharp, they're just soldiers like us. But even he didn't believe his own words. They heard the Terran drop pods slam into the ground nearby. The air shook, buildings cracked. Then, the doors on the pods exploded open. Out stepped the Terran Marines, heavily armored. Faces hidden behind full helmets, weapons unlike anything the Union troops had seen before. Fast, deadly, unstoppable. Within seconds, the Terran soldiers opened fire. High energy, pulse rifles, explosive micromissiles, kinetic shot launchers. The Union line crumbled. Lieutenant Miro watched in horror as his men fell one by one. He grabbed his communicator. We're being overrun, requesting backup. No answer. Static. He looked up and saw a towering Terran combat mech stepping over the barricades, painted black, with red glowing eyes. The mech's cannon turned toward him. Miro's last thought was simple. We never had a chance. Across the city, similar scenes played out. Terran assault teams moved street by street, building by building. Union snipers tried to hold rooftops. Terran drones picked them off with perfect shots. Union tanks rolled in for support. Terran orbital strikes wiped them out from above. Entire neighborhoods fell within minutes. In the air, Union fighters scrambled to provide cover. but on space superiority fighters entered the atmosphere. Fast, agile, highly dangerous dogfights turned into massacres. Union pilots screamed their last words overcomes as Terran fighters tore them apart. One pilot's last transmission was simple: "Their fighters move like ghosts. We can't keep up." Then silence. Inside the Union command tower, General Zaroon received grim reports from every sector. "We've lost Sector 5. Enemy forces breaking through east wall defenses. Our supply lines cut off." Zaroon pounded the table. "Where is Admiral Quinn? Where is fleet support?" An officer replied, "Sir, no fleet left. The Terrans control orbit. We're alone." Meanwhile, inside the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Elena Graves watched live feeds of the ground battle. Her AI Rook provided updates. All objectives met. Enemy resistance minimal. Elena's tactical officer, Harlan, grinned. "Should we escalate orbital bombardment?" Elena shook her head. "Not yet. Let them suffer a bit longer on the ground. Break their spirit." She turned toward the screen, showing Union Command Tower. Her next target: prepare precision strike on their headquarters. On the ground, a Union artillery unit managed to get one lucky hit. A Terran transport ship took damage. Cheering spread briefly among Union troops, but the celebration didn't last. The Terrans responded with overwhelming force. A full squad of Terran mechs dropped directly on the artillery position. In less than a minute, the entire Union battery was gone. Back in the Senate bunker, Senator Relkador shouted at her aides, "We need to open surrender talks now." But communication lines were jammed. The Terrans had started full electronic warfare. Union networks failed. No messages could leave the planet. Relka sank to the floor, her face pale. "We pushed them too far. We played a dangerous game, and now it's over." In a last desperate move, General Zaroon ordered the deployment of Omega Protocol, a highly dangerous experimental ground-based RAILGUN. Never used in real combat. Its location beneath the Union Command Tower. Its target, the TNS Vengeance. The weapon, charged. Energy levels rising. If it worked, they might take down the Terran flagship. If it failed, they'd only make the Terrans angrier. Zaroon stood next to the railgun engineers. "Charge to full. Aim for their flagship. Fire when ready." An officer called out, "Sir, 10 seconds to full power." Zaroon whispered, "This is our last shot." The railgun fired a massive blue-white energy beam, screamed into the sky, that it tore through the atmosphere, straight toward the TNS Vengeance. For a brief moment, hope returned, but on the Vengeance, defenses activated instantly. The ship's point defense cannons tracked the incoming energy blast. Rook's voice rang across the bridge. "Enemy ground-based, superweapon detected, intercepting now." Multiple counter-energy rounds fired from the Vengeance. Meeting the railgun blast. Mid-air. A massive explosion lit up the sky. But the Vengeance stayed untouched. No damage, no scratches, just anger. Admiral Elena Graves stood from her chair, her face cold. Her voice calm, but full of deadly intent. "Enough." She turned to Harlan. "Order full orbital bombardment. Level the Union Command Tower. Leave nothing standing." Harlan nodded. "Gladly, Admiral." Within moments, the Vengeance's main cannons powered up. Energy built. Targeting systems locked on. On the ground, General Zaroon stood on the tower's roof. He watched the Vengeance, glowing with charging power. He took a deep breath, saluted the sky, and whispered, "To all future historians, if any survive, write this down. Humans are the most dangerous enemy this galaxy has ever seen." The orbital strike hit. A massive pillar of energy slammed into the tower. The entire command center vaporized in one blinding flash. Shockwaves tore through the city, and Valora Prime fell silent in orbit. Admiral Graves sat back down. Her officers waited. She gave one final order for the day. Next target, the neighboring system. Prepare jump coordinates. Her fleet began to move, leaving behind a burning planet, and a message burned deep into every survivor's mind: never erase humanity again. Valora Prime burned behind the Terran fleet. Smoke rose high into space. Cities lay in ruins. The once proud capital of the Galactic Union, now silent, broken, defeated. But the war wasn't over. Not yet, because across the galaxy, the remaining Union forces were gathering. Desperate, cornered, and willing to do anything to survive. In a hidden asteroid base far from Union space, top Union military leaders met in secret. Admiral Cyrus Quinn, still injured from the earlier fleet battle, stood at the center of the room. Around him sat the last remaining Union admirals. generals, and intelligence chiefs. They looked tired, broken, scared. Admiral Quinn's voice was low, grim. We are pushed into a dangerous corner. No one argued. They all knew it. Their fleets destroyed, their homeworld fallen, their people scattered. General Mail Arvox, head of Union Special Weapons Division, spoke next. We only have one option now. He placed a small device on the table, a black cube-shaped weapon. Quiet. Cold. Terrifying. The room went silent. Everyone stared. Admiral Quinn's eyes widened. No, you can't be serious. Mail nodded. We have to use it. The room filled with whispers. Project Darkstorm, a forbidden weapon, banned even by the Union itself. Unpredictably dangerous. It could destroy entire star systems, or worse. But now, it was their last card, their last hope. Or their final mistake. Meanwhile, the Terran fleet moved fast, system after system, planet after planet. Everywhere the Union tried to regroup, the Terrans attacked, fast. Vast, deadly. Unstoppable. On the bridge of the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Alina Graves stood over the star map. Red markers showed all recent Terran victories. Her AI Rook spoke. Enemy forces retreating toward Sector 12. Unusual. Energy readings detected near asteroid belt. Alina narrowed her eyes. Sector 12. That's far outside their normal command zones. Her tactical officer Harlan added, probably a trap. Admiral Alina smiled coldly. I don't care. Prepare the fleet. If they want us to chase, we'll chase. Her voice dropped low, but they should remember, humans are at their most dangerous when cornered. Inside the asteroid base, Union engineers rushed to power up Project Darkstorm. The weapon hummed with dark energy. Sensors around the base started to fail. Computers, glitched. Lights flickered. Even the soldiers nearby felt headaches, nosebleeds, nausea. General Mail stood in the control room. He whispered, we're playing with something dangerous, something we can't fully control. But no one stopped him. It was too late for fear, too late for second thoughts. Union scouts, reported Terran fleet entering the sector. Admiral Quinn gave the final order, activate Darkstorm. Fire on their fleet the moment they're in range. The engineers obeyed. Energy levels rose. Core temperature spiked. Warning lights flashed. One scientist screamed, Sir, the weapon is overloading. But General Mail just shouted, do it anyway. The Terran fleet approached the asteroid belt. Scanners picked up the energy surge. Harlan's voice echoed across the Vengeance Bridge. Admiral, massive energy spike, unknown type. This is dangerous. Recommend immediate retreat. But Admiral Graves stayed calm. Too late for retreat. She stood. All ships. Full forward shields. Brace for impact. Seconds later, Project Darkstorm fired. A massive wave of black-purple energy tore across space. It moved like liquid, but burned like fire. Union scientists called it reality fracture radiation. No one, not even the creators, understood how it worked. But it worked. Sort of. Terran ships at the front line were hit first. Some vanished instantly, others twisted, torn apart as space itself bent around them. Communication channels filled with static screams. Even the mighty TNS Vengeance shook violently. Hull alarms screamed, bulkheads cracked, lights flickered. IA Rook's voice turned chaotic. Warning, unknown. Energy effect, shield failure on decks 4 through 7. But humans were stubborn. Dangerous. Hard to kill. Even now, the Terran fleet survived, damaged. Hurt, but still there, and still angry. Inside the Vengeance, Admiral Graves stood, blood running down her forehead from falling debris. She wiped it away, glaring at the source of the attack. Her voice came out low, deadly. So, they've chosen their last weapon. She turned to her crew. Her voice strong, focused, full of human fury. Rally the fleet, regroup, target the asteroid base. I want that weapon silenced forever. Harlan grinned despite the chaos. Time to push back. Alina nodded. And remind them. What happens when you corner a human? The Terran fleet reformed fast. Even damaged. They moved with terrifying speed. New attack orders went out. Missiles armed. Railguns charged. Fighter squadrons launched. Drop-dash pods. Prepared for boarding. The Union asteroid base was now their next target. And there would be no mercy. Inside the base, Union soldiers ran to defensive positions. Turrets powered up. Shield generators overloaded. But the officers already knew. They were outmatched. Outgunned. Out of time. Admiral Quinn stood at the observation window. He watched the Terran ships turning toward them. Coming fast. He whispered, "We pushed them too far. Now it's our turn to feel cornered." In the command center, General Mail screamed at his engineers. "Charge Darkstorm again. Fire again." But the weapon was breaking. The energy core glowed unstable. Small explosions erupted inside the control room. One engineer shouted, "Sir, if we fire again, the whole base will go with it." Mail hesitated. Then, with shaking hands, he whispered, "Do it anyway." The Terran fleet closed in. And the final, most dangerous battle was about to begin. The asteroid base shook violently. Sparks flew from broken panels, explosions ripped through hallways, smoke filled the air. General Mail Arvak stood in the control room, screaming at his staff. "Charge the Darkstorm weapon again. This is our only chance." His engineers shouted back, "Sir, the core is unstable. If we fire again, it could overload and destroy the entire base." Mail slammed his fist on the console. "Do it anyway." On board the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Alina Graves stood, steady, even with alarms blaring. Her AI rook gave the latest status. Enemy base preparing to fire Darkstorm again. Core temperature critical. Their defenses are still active, but weak. Alina nodded. Her tactical officer Harlan shouted, "Admiral, we have a window. If we hit them hard now, we can stop the next shot." Alina turned to her fleet. "All ships, full assault. Target their energy core. Priority. Stop that weapon, at any cost." Her voice dropped low. "We end this now." Terran warships moved fast, even damaged from the first Darkstorm blast. They pushed forward. Missiles launched. Plasma cannons fired. Railguns tore through. Asteroid rocks like paper Terran fighter squadrons swarmed toward the Union base. Small, fast, highly dangerous. Inside the base, Union defense turrets tried to hold the line, but Terran AI-guided weapons slipped past their shields. Explosions tore open external hangars. Union soldiers screamed as atmosphere vented into space. Admiral Saras Quinn, watching from a secondary command post inside the base, saw the end coming. He turned to General Mail. "Stop this madness. Evacuate the base. We've already lost." But Mail shook his head, eyes wide with desperation. "No. We can still win. Fire Darkstorm again." Suddenly, warning sirens screamed. "Core overload. Core overload." A young engineer shouted, "Sir, the Darkstorm reactor is going critical. We have less than 5 minutes." Mail froze. Too late. Their most dangerous weapon had become their death sentence. Inside the TNS Vengeance, Rook's voice sounded again. "Admiral, enemy core meltdown detected. Full base detonation imminent." Harlan grinned. "So, they're going to blow themselves up." Alina didn't. Smiled. Her eyes stayed cold. "Pull back all forward units. Get our fighters clear. I want minimum casualties." Her officers obeyed. Terran ships turned fast, engines roaring, pulling away from the doomed asteroid. Inside the Union base, chaos ruled. Soldiers ran. Officers shouted evacuation orders. Escape pods launched. Too few, too late. General Mail stood at the window, staring at the burning stars. His last words, "We should never have erased them then." The Darkstorm core exploded. A massive burst of black and purple energy consumed the entire asteroid. Rocks shattered. Debris scattered for thousands of kilometers. A silent wave of destruction rolled across space. From the safety of distance, Terran fleet watched. Harlan let out a low whistle. "Goodbye, Union, High Command." Alina crossed her arms. "Rook, any survivors?" The AI paused. "Minimal. Scattered escape pods detected. No organized fleet remains." Alina nodded. "Begin search and destroy. No Union warship leaves this sector." Her officers moved quickly. Orders given. Targets locked. The cleanup began. Across the galaxy, Union colonies received the news. Their high command gone, their last defense fallen. Panic spread. Some worlds surrendered immediately, others fled. Some tried to go into hiding, but everyone knew it was over. On neutral planets, news networks broadcast the images. Footage of the Terran fleet dominating the stars. Wreckage of Union fleets floating like space graveyards. The same sentence appeared on every screen. The humans have won. Old veterans, survivors from the first Terran wars, watched in silence. One old captain in a bar whispered, "We pushed them too far. We erased them from history. And now, they've erased us from the stars." Inside her quarters aboard the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Graves sat alone, looking at an old picture, a photo of Earth, before the erasure, before the betrayal, before the betrayal. Her voice was soft, but full of steel. One more step left. She stood, walked to the bridge. Her officers waited. Elena gave her next order. Set course for the Union capital world. Direct Prime, her eyes burned with determination. We end this. Completely. Her fleet turned. Engines roared. And once again, the humans moved forward. In the ashes of lost battles, the Union had been pushed into a dangerous corner. And failed. Now, their last world, their final capital, awaited the Terran fury. The Terran fleet cut through space like a storm. Their engines burned bright. Their weapons charged. Their mission clear. Their target. The Union's final capital world, Durell Prime, a planet rich, full of life. Skyscrapers touched the clouds. Massive space docks orbited above billions of civilians. Hundreds of defense platforms. Thousands of soldiers. But none of it mattered now, because the humans were coming, and there was no stopping them. Inside the Union Defense Command Center on Durell Prime, panic ruled. General Kervolta, now the highest surviving Union officer, stood before his staff. His voice shook. Mobilize everything. Every ship, every fighter, every gun. An officer reported, Sir, planetary shields at 40% power. Most orbital platforms are offline after the last power grid failure. Another voice, civilians demanding evacuation. Kerr's hands trembled. There's nowhere left to run. He looked at the main screen. A giant red marker showed the Terran fleet entering the system. One of his aides whispered, We pushed them too far. Now they're coming for the kill. In orbit, the Terran ships spread out, their formation, perfect their movements. Fast. Inside the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Elena Graves stood on the bridge. Her officers waited for orders. Her AI Rook gave the latest scan. Planetary shields weak. Surface to space weapons limited. Estimated time to break defenses. 45 minutes. Elena nodded. She raised her voice. All ships, begin Phase 1 bombardment. Target shield generators. After that we go down. Her tactical officer Harlan grinned. Let's finish this. The first Terran strike came fast. Missiles rained down, railguns fired, orbital plasma lances burned through the upper atmosphere. On the ground, shield generators overloaded. Explosions lit up the planet's surface. Entire defense stations vanished. In seconds, the once blue sky turned dark with smoke. Inside civilian zones, people ran for shelters. Parents grabbed their children. Old veterans stood on rooftops. Watching the sky, they remembered the old human wars. They knew this time there would be no forgiveness, no mercy. No mercy. In the Union Senate building, the last remaining politicians gathered. Senator Relkador, pale and shaking, stood at the podium. We request immediate ceasefire negotiations. We surrender. She tried to send a message, but communications were jammed. The Terrans had cut off all external signals. Relka collapsed to the floor, her last words before fainting. We erased them. Now, they're erasing us. Terran dropods launched again. Thousands. Falling like burning comets, crashing into city centers. Terran Marines stormed government buildings. Union soldiers fought back, but were pushed back within minutes. Terran tanks rolled through streets. Mechs stomped over barricades. Fighter drones swept the skies. One by one, Union defense lines fell. General Kervolta stood in his last command bunker. He opened a private channel to Admiral Graves. Her face appeared on his screen. Kerr raised his hands. Surrender. Please, spare the civilians. We surrender unconditionally. Elena stared at him, her voice ice cold. Did you spare us when you erased our history, when you hunted down our people, when you destroyed our colonies? Kerr's lips trembled. No. But that was political, not personal. Elena's face hardened, her voice dropped low. It's personal now. She ended the call. Gave a single command. Level their command bunker. Terran strike teams moved in. A single blast destroyed the bunker, and General Kerr with it, but with no leadership left. The Union capital collapsed. Terran forces took control of the space docks. They raised Terran flags over the Senate building. Planetary broadcasts changed. One message appeared on every screen, every channel, every terminal. Humanity has returned. Admiral Graves walked through the ruins of the Senate chambers. Her officers followed. Bodies of Union leaders lay scattered. She stood at the main podium, looked at the cameras, broadcasted her message across the galaxy. This is Admiral Elena Graves. This war is over. The Galactic Union is finished. Let this stand as a warning to every power, every government, every race across the stars. She paused, her eyes burning with cold fury. Never erase humanity again. The transmission ended. The Terran fleet prepared to leave orbit, their mission complete. One officer asked, "Admiral, what now?" Alina stared at the stars, her voice soft but full of steel. "We go home and rebuild what they destroyed." Across the galaxy, people watched. Some cheered, some cried, some simply sat in silence. The legend of humanity was back, and no one would ever forget them again. Because the truth was now clear. Humans were the most dangerous force this galaxy had ever seen, and they had proven it.